The floor beneath my feet was shaking before I even reached the chamber doors, and I did not know if it was the building or my own legs. 3 armed escorts walked beside me, their claws clicking against the black stone floor, and not one of them looked at me the way you look at a guest. They looked at me the way you look at a problem that has not yet been solved. The doors opened on their own, sliding apart with a sound like a held breath being released, and the light inside hit me first. It was pale green, cold, moving like water across the walls, and it was designed to make anyone standing in it feel like an insect under glass. I walked forward anyway. 9 seats curved above me in a wide ring, each one holding a different shape, a different set of eyes, a different history of war and peace that stretched back further than my entire species had existed. This was the Varenthi Council, the oldest governing body in known space, and I was standing in front of it because 3 days ago, I had made a choice that killed 11,000 ships in less than a minute. A voice came from the highest seat, sharp and clipped, carried through some kind of translation device that made every word land like a small stone dropped into still water. You are the human called Ethan. You gave the order that destroyed an entire fleet in the Kessel corridor. Explain yourself before this council, or face judgment in your silence. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my ears, but I kept my voice steady. I did not destroy a fleet, I said. I destroyed a threat. There is a difference, and I think you already know it, or you would not have called this hearing at all. A murmur passed through the ring, quiet clicks and hums from creatures whose faces I could not read, and for a moment I thought I had made a mistake. Then the voice came again, lower this time, almost curious. Explain the difference, human. We are listening. 3 days earlier, I had been standing on a narrow observation deck above Earth's outer colony line when the alarms started. Not the soft, testing alarms we ran during drills, but the deep, rolling siren that meant something was already happening and there was no time left to prepare for it. Grace was beside me, headset half on, eyes locked on the display where 4 glowing dots marked our colony worlds, small and fragile against the black. 11,000 ships just dropped out of hyperspace near the Kessel corridor, she said, her voice flat with the kind of calm that only comes right before panic. They are not ours. They are not registered to any treaty species, and they are heading straight for the colonies. How long? I asked. 11 minutes, she said. Maybe less. 11 minutes was nothing. It was not enough time to launch a single defense ship, let alone assemble a fleet capable of stopping 11,000 attackers. I remember looking at the display, at those 4 small lights that held every person I had ever loved, and feeling my mind go strangely quiet, the way it does when there is no room left for fear, because there is only room for thinking. There is a dying star 3 light minutes from their path, I said. Kessel 9. It is already collapsing. It was going to go supernova within the year anyway. Grace turned to look at me, and I saw the moment she understood what I was suggesting. You want to push its timeline, she said. Now, while they are passing through its gravity well. I want to give it a reason to finish early, I said. A very small nudge, in exactly the right place, at exactly the right time. There was no time to ask permission from anyone above us. There was no time to run simulations, or to call a vote, or to do any of the careful, slow things that keep a civilization safe under normal circumstances. There was only time to trust the numbers Grace was already running, faster than I could follow, faster than I thought a person could think under that kind of pressure. 10 minutes, she said. 9. I sent the activation code before I let myself think too hard about what it meant. A small craft, already stationed near the star for research, carried a device meant for controlled stellar studies, never meant for anything like this. It reached the required point with 90 seconds to spare, and I gave the order. The star did not explode like something in an old story, sudden and loud. It brightened first, slowly, then all at once, swallowing the darkness around it in white light that outshone every sensor we had pointed at it. By the time the light reached the fleet, there was nothing left for them to do. No warning would have saved them, because there was no warning to give. They were simply there, and then they were gone, along with every threat they carried toward 4 worlds full of people who never knew how close they had come to disappearing. I stood on that platform with my hands still shaking, watching 4 small lights stay exactly where they were supposed to be, and I did not feel triumphant. I felt hollowed out and quiet, and very aware that I had just made a decision no single person should ever have to make alone. Back in the chamber, the council was still waiting for my answer, and I gave it to them exactly as it had happened, without softening it, and without making it sound bigger than it was. We did not build a weapon for that day, I said. We used what already existed, because it was the only thing fast enough to save 4 worlds from something that was already moving to destroy them. If you are asking whether we are capable of something like that again, the answer is yes. If you are asking whether we want to be, the answer is no. We would rather never be in a position where a dying star is the only option left to us. The chamber was silent in a way that felt different from before, not hostile silence, something closer to disbelief, as if they had expected excuses and instead received something plain and hard to argue with. One of the council members leaned forward, its voice softer now, almost thoughtful. You do not deny the scale of what happened. I do not, I said. 11,000 ships are gone because of a choice I made in less than 10 minutes. I will carry that for the rest of my life, whether you decide today that it was right or wrong. But I did not come here to beg you for forgiveness, and I did not come here to threaten you with what we might do next. I came here to tell you the truth, because you deserve that more than you deserve my fear. A long pause followed, filled only by the low hum of the chamber itself, until the oldest member of the council, seated at the center of the ring, finally spoke. Tell us, human, what would you have done if there had been another way? I would have taken it, I said, without hesitation. Every single time. We are not looking for reasons to make choices like that one. We are looking for reasons never to need them again. The council did not answer right away. They exchanged looks I could not read, quiet gestures between beings who had clearly worked together for longer than recorded human history, and I stood there, waiting, my future and the future of everyone I loved balanced on whatever they decided next. Finally, the oldest voice returned, steady and clear. We called you here expecting a threat to answer for its actions with fear or with pride. You have given us neither. You have given us honesty, delivered without hiding from what it cost, and that is rarer in this chamber than any weapon we have ever studied. I felt something in my chest loosen slightly, though I did not let it show on my face. This council will not condemn a choice made to protect innocent lives when no better option existed, the voice continued. But we will be watching how your species chooses to grow from this moment, because the measure of any people is not found in the choice they make under pressure, but in what they choose to build once the pressure has passed. I bowed my head slightly, the first movement I allowed myself since walking into that chamber. Then we understand each other, I said. We do not want to be feared for what we can destroy. We want to be trusted for what we choose not to. The doors behind me opened again, letting in cooler air from the hall outside, and I turned to leave, my legs finally allowing themselves to feel unsteady now that the moment had passed. Grace was waiting just beyond the threshold, her face tight with worry that softened the instant she saw mine. How did it go? She asked quietly. I told them the truth, I said. All of it. And? She asked. And they listened, I said. That is more than I expected walking in. We walked together down the long corridor, away from the chamber and its cold green light, back toward the transport that would carry us home, past worlds that were still standing, only because 11 minutes had somehow been enough. Behind us, the council remained in session, discussing not what we had done, but what kind of neighbors we might become, now that they understood we did not act out of hunger for power, but out of a refusal to lose what mattered most. I did not know yet what would come next, what alliances might form or what tests still waited ahead of us, but for the first time since the alarms had sounded 3 days earlier, I let myself believe that we had answered the only question that truly mattered. Not who we could destroy, but who we were willing to become.